Hello and welcome to another episode of Squirtified Engineering. If you watched the previous episode, you saw that I finalized the timing belt installation. I ran the engine up to temperature and drained the oil just to sort of clean it out a bit. I have brought the intended oil. I also brought some brake fluid. Could be good to change that as well. And as you might have seen, I also talked about the wiring for the fuel pump, which was getting quite hot. So I have some wires from a good store in Sweden. I also have a belt, so I will have my power steering working again. So the goal for today is to fix the fuel pump wiring, mount the power steering belt, and fill up with oil, as well as changing the oil filter. I think all that's left to do in the engine bay after that is the ignition coil plate, which should be a fast installation. After that, everything is pretty much buttoned up, so I can start to put the panels on surrounding the engine bay. The only thing which is semi okay is the coolant. I didn't have much in my garage, so the mixture is very low. At least I have some, so I will drain some of it later and refill with a 50-50 mixture. Let's get started. Here I have created a new mini harness for the fuel pump, and here I have a relay for it, and I have a new feed going directly from the battery, and I'm using the feed in the stock harness, this one, for signal. And I've already put the key in the ignition, so once I flip this fuse, the pump should work. And it did. So that's good. So I have a 6 square millimeter thick wire for the feed. I have the same wire size for the ground. The only difference is that it's a bit longer, but the feed goes through the relay and so on, so it should be okay. And I think I will leave the fuse in here for now. And just test again. Working. Since the fuel pump wiring is now completed, I will now continue with changing the oil filter and fill up the engine with my new oil. I will also install the power steering belt and ignition coil plate. The old oil filter is removed and the new one is filled up with oil. I always do that due to the mounting position of the filter. And unfortunately I ran out of memory in my GoPro cameras, so I will only do in between filming. And you can also see that I modified the tow hook to become the mount for the filter mount. Time for another start. First, see if the fuel pump starts. Yes. So let's see what happens. This is supposed to be oil temperature, but not really working. Also have power steering. And I installed my new ignition coil plate. I still have to install the new harness. I disconnected the vacuum hose going to the blow-off valve, so it stays closed. And now I have this flutter noise. Seems to be running okay, I guess. And I have power steering. Since everything around the engine is finished, the engine is ready for running, I can start to put the panels on, the front fenders and nose panel and so on. But I took the opportunity to realign the door, the passenger door, as you see. And I've also installed the lock. So that's something at least. Yeah, it sounds a bit weird, but I need to put all the stuff back together and then it should be sounding okay. I think it's hard to see now with the towel in the way, but I managed to get the gap looking okay, and you can see the body lines are aligning, so I think it's okay. I will need to put the front fender on in order to see how the gap is between the fender and the door. But hopefully I don't need to adjust it much more. So now it's time to end yet another episode of Squirtified Engineering. Regarding the engine, as you might have seen in this episode, I disconnected the vacuum line going to the blow-off valve. So at least that's enough to keep it closed at idle. I will try and source a stiffer spring to replace the one I have with. I also need to put a different coolant mixture in, since the weather is well, it is getting colder here in Sweden. What else? Well, the tasks I had for today are completed. I filled up the engine with the proper oil, replaced the oil filter, put the power steering belt on. That's a 4PK 855. I think 850 would have been better, so the next time I will go for that. The fuel pump wiring is replaced, and it doesn't get hot while running as the previous setup did. Yeah, so the next time I will be working on the front fender, I hope. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.